Hey, and welcome back to Talk of Better Worlds. I'm Sir Felix the Cat, and this is The Blender. It's a weekly show where we take something that we're nerdy about and kind of turn it into a list. This week, I want to talk a little bit about fantasy fiction IPs. Now, we all know all the big ones like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, The Elder Scrolls, but what about those ones that just don't seem to get any following? Like, it doesn't mean that they're any worse. It just basically means that not too many people had their eyes on it. So, this week, I'm entering the battlefield. I'm about to throw down for some unknown IPs. Here are 8 fantasy fiction IPs that you shouldn't sleep on. Without further ado, let's grab our shields and let's go.
Number 8. Stardust. We start off with a book that I read and then was surprised in 2007 when the movie was released starring Daredevil himself, Charlie Cox. Spoiler alert, he is not blind in the movie. Stardust is a fantasy tale, slightly reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland. It kicks off with a story of young love / yearning. Tristan Thorn is head over heels for the village beauty, Victoria, who really doesn't have an interest in love. One night, they are out looking at the sky when they see a star fall, and it lands outside of the village, into an area that the villagers are not allowed to go. For this village is the village of the wall between us and the land of the fairy. Tristan wants to get that star for Victoria to prove his love for her. So, to hell with the rules, he takes off after it. In the land of fairy, he meets witches, pirates, and a person claiming to be a star. This is a grand adventure of thrills, magic, action, love, and, most importantly, personal growth and self-acceptance. Whether it's the book, the movie, or both, Stardust is well worth your attention. Number 7. The Magician series. Here we have another multimedia gem, being a book trilogy, a TV show, and 2 comics. This one is more like Harry Potter, but it's a college. And now, no disrespect to Hogwarts, but I have ran into many brick walls and train stations, and my doctor says I can't afford another concussion. Another big influence on this series would be the Chronicles of Narnia. See, this story revolves around Quentin Coldwater, who is a huge superfan of a book series called Fauntleroy and Further, a book series that is about a group of kids that travel to a magical land called Fauntleroy. Does that plot sound familiar? The series starts off with Quentin heading to his interview to become a student at Princeton. However, due to circumstances, he actually gets pulled into a magical portal that pops him out at Brakebills College for Magical Pedagogy. I had to look this up when I first read the book, so let me just say, pedagogy is the method or practice of teaching. He does his interview there and passes the tests and is accepted to the magical school. From this point on, Quentin makes new friends and has a series of magical adventures. Now, stop sleeping on this and check it out. Number 6. The Summon Night series. Summon Night is a JRPG series, Japanese role-playing game, with 6 main series titles and 7 spin-offs, with 4 different gameplay styles between them. The mainline games being strategy, the Swordcraft Story spin-offs being an action-adventure RPG with side-scrolling battles. The next 3 were your standard action RPG affairs, and the final one is a classic turn-based, kind of like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy. Summon Night takes place in a vast multiverse, with the setting being the semi-steampunk-esque world of Lindbaum that mixes medieval elements with more modern facilities and railroads. Lindbaum is a world where things are summoned to, whether the thing be an item, a creature, or a real-world human. A main consistency in the series are the 4 worlds that the summons you will use in battle come from. There's the world where mechanical creatures come from. Think of robots, androids. There's one where mythical creatures like half-humans and fairies come from. There's another where it's the home of the angels and demons. And last, we have the land of the yokai. My introduction was through the first Swordcraft story game on the Game Boy Advance. In this one, your character strives to become a craft lord in honor of your father. And to do so, you join a tournament to claim that title. It has solid combat and gameplay with a very charming story. Hopefully Nintendo adds these games to the Nintendo Online Game Boy Advance list of games, so everyone can check them out. If not, well, there are other ways to play them. And moving on. Number 5. The Book of the Black Earth. Here, we have a thrilling, action-packed, and political story with a more mature theme. This is a 4-part epic fantasy book series by John Sprunk. Our hero, Horace Del Rosa, who is a crusader, is sailing across the Midland Sea on his way to join the Great Crusade, when his ship is capsized in a magical storm with green lightning. Getting hit with said lightning knocks him out, and when he awakes, he finds himself on his enemy's land of Acacia. The very same enemies he was on his way to combat in the Crusade. Not an ideal situation, and even less ideal when the Acacians find him and make him a house slave. Well, not long after, to Horace's surprise, he discovers he is now able to use magic. Magic, much like that of the storm he was caught in. Once alerted, the Acacians promote Horace to the Queen's court. Trying to find a way out of the situation and away from these lands, he meets a spy named Elira and an ex-mercenary turned enslaved gladiator named Jerome, who both share a like goal. Together, they must work around politics as well as stop the zealous Temple of the Sun if they wish to survive. Learn more about Horace's magic, Elira's intelligence, and Jerome's strength in Book 1, Blood and Iron. Number 4. The Ys series. Have you ever wondered who was the best swordsman in all of video game history? Some may say Link from Zelda, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, or even Ryu from Ninja Gaiden. But I would argue they are all wrong answers. One man has defeated more enemies than the rest of them can count. That man is the legendary adventurer Adol Christian of the Ys series. Yes, it looks like it's called Wise, but the Y is pronounced E for this. Adol is absolutely obsessed with adventure and helping those in need. But not everyone is in love with our crimson-haired hero, such as the Roman Empire. That's R-O-M-U-N. The Roman Empire sees Adol as a dangerous troublemaker and criminal, putting him at the top of their most wanted list. His adventures so far span across 7 years of his life, starting when he sets out at the age of 17. But the history for the world we're in spans back 1,500 years before Adol was born. All of it is very important, and it's actually connected to Adol's explorations. But he needs not deal with it all alone, as he has made good friends on his journeys, such as his ever-loyal ally, Dogi. Step into the shoes of Adol in this amazing action RPG series. Number 3. The Crossroads series. So, would you be willing to strap yourself to the, let's say, the chest of a giant bird to defend the safety of the people? If so, you might just be a good fit as a Reeve, the last remaining representation of the Guardians. In the world of the 100, lovingly crafted by the brilliant Kate Elliott, the Guardians had ruled for hundreds of years, but that is no longer. Now, the Reeves are all that's left, and they are losing what little control they had. A powerful group is attacking villages, as well as hunting down the Reeves. No one quite knows their goal, but whatever it is, it's not good. This series has an Eastern vibe to it, inspired by Asian countries and cultures, with a good amount of world building, but it's the depth of Elliott's characters that will keep you remembering this trilogy forever. Blade of Darkness. In this day and age, a game that is considered to be difficult is called a Souls-like because of the Dark Souls series. Well, I think we should change that to honor a more hardcore experience. In 2001, Spanish developer Rebel Act Studios released one of the most challenging hack-and-slash adventure games I can think of. In North America, it's known as Blade of Darkness. In Britain, it's called Severance Blade of Darkness. And in the greater European area, it's called Blade, the Edge of Darkness. To me, the level of challenge in this game comes from how if you get hit in the arm by a blade, it very well can take off your arm. You'll live, but now you're down an arm, so making use of both a sword and shield or a two-handed weapon is no longer viable. Here we have, and I do apologize for the most likely mispronunciation I'm going to make here, we have Tukaram, the barbarian, Naglfar, the dwarf, Sargon, the knight, and Zoe, the Amazonian. Set in a world ruled by chaos that was split into light and dark, the hero you choose is forced to travel and collect 6 magical runes to imbue the Blade of Darkness, turn it into the Sword of Iana, and they must use said sword to destroy the dark enemy once and for all. Test your skill and your mettle in this classic that has been remastered for modern consoles and PC. And number 1, Mythica. If you have joined our Saturday podcast, you'll be aware that we are big fans of watching lesser known and lower budget movies. Well, sometimes you find ones that are just absolute gold that are both unique and intriguing. And that's the case with Mythica. This direct-to-video movie series follows the adventures of Merrick, an enslaved girl who is an aspiring magician. Her adventure starts when she meets the priestess named Tila, whose sister unfortunately was kidnapped by a group of orcs. Tila went to the tavern to ask the patrons for help, and Merrick is the one who steps up to the challenge, and so she can flee her life of slavery. Together, they assemble a small fellowship and set off to save Tila's sister. Their journeys throughout the series take them across all the lands, where they will have to battle dark magicians, evil necromancers, zombies, demons, and more. So, do yourself a favor and ask Google, Siri, or Alexa where you can watch these movies.
Well, that's all I had for you this week, but I hope something on this week's Blender stood out to you. You know, maybe there's an IP that you're going to want to watch, because these are definitely all IPs that you should not sleep on. So, let us know. Have you seen any of these? Have you read any of them? Have you played any of them? Are there any that you think we should know about? If so, just let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Well, until next time, take care.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and dislike it if you didn't.
Let us know what you think about the channel.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Tell your mom.